What's going on, guys? Welcome back to We Need to Talk. Some of the topics we're going to get into in this video are the Unthinkable box office run that continues for Spider-Man Brand New Day, the Unthinkable box office run that continues for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. The future of Shang-Chi and Spider-Man is now up in the air with Destin Daniel Cretton, and we gotta talk about how many billion-dollar films we could get before 2026 comes to a close. So as you guys can tell, very box office heavy video today. As usual, timestamps are down below. Let's get right into it. So Spider-Man Brand New Day is just about wrapping up its second weekend, and while this weekend's box office numbers are not final yet, the movie is going to be ending this weekend having already crossed $1.6 billion worldwide. And projections for the film now have it reaching a total by the end of its theatrical run of $2.5 billion, which would make it the third highest grossing movie of all time. Now, this is exactly where I said it would land when I made a video about it last week. I said, I don't think it'll reach Avatar, I don't think it'll reach Endgame, but it'll probably pass Infinity War, Avatar: The Way of Water to get itself into that third spot. But man, it is just still so crazy to see these numbers where, yes, do we have to adjust for inflation? Yes, and would this $2.5 billion probably be closer to $2 billion if it was coming out with the ticket prices from back when Avengers Endgame was coming out? Yes, but still, even when you adjust for inflation, the fact that this Spider-Man movie, a solo Spider-Man movie, is able to be amongst one of the biggest films of all time is just nuts. Now, it is important to note that this film is slowing down ever so slightly because in its opening weekend domestically, it was number one. It was the biggest opening weekend domestically of all time. But now, on its second weekend, it is now pulling in the third biggest second weekend of all time. So the pace has dropped. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Avengers Endgame, they are now moving quicker than Brand New Day is in its second weekend. So it will be interesting to see if Brand New Day is able to hold on to its lead and become the biggest domestic film of all time. Of course, that record is currently held by Star Wars: The Force Awakens, because while Brand New Day had the biggest opening weekend of all time, it has now fallen back into third place in terms of biggest second weekends of all time. I know, an absolute flop. No, but seriously, it'll probably be very close and come down to the wire. And whether it's the goodwill carrying over from No Way Home, whether it's people being starved for Spider-Man after 5 years of Tom Holland being away, whether it's just that everyone is in love with the couple of Tom Holland and Zendaya, I honestly don't know, and I'm done trying to figure out the insanity of this movie's run. But whatever you guys think about this, about the fact that Spider-Man Brand New Day is probably going to finish its theatrical run with $2.5 billion, let me know down in the comments. Now, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has continued to do just insane numbers at the box office, and it is now officially passed The Dark Knight Rises to become the highest grossing film of Christopher Nolan's entire career, now sitting over $1.1 billion. And I gotta be honest, I did not think this was possible. I thought that Oppenheimer was a bit of an exception in Christopher Nolan's filmography, almost making $1 billion because of the Barbenheimer event that it was tied up in. And I thought The Odyssey would come back to more historically normal Christopher Nolan territory of like $600 to $700 million. But nope, here we are. This dude is just massive. Now, it'll be interesting to see where this movie finishes off. Like, can it become the biggest R-rated film of all time? That is still up in the air because Deadpool and Wolverine is sitting at $1.3 billion, so there's still about 200 to 250 million more that The Odyssey has to do to break that record. But yeah, it is just crazy that we now have a singular director who is a bigger name than Star Wars. Like, seriously, the Christopher Nolan brand is bigger than the Star Wars brand. Okay, let that enter your brain. All right, now moving on, the future of Spider-Man and Shang-Chi is up in the air because of the director of those films, Destin Daniel Cretton. So Destin Daniel Cretton is coming off the massive success of Spider-Man 5, but his next film is actually outside of the superhero genre because he is directing the live-action Naruto movie. Now, the film is set to shoot sometime in 2027, which does raise some interesting questions about the future of Spider-Man and Shang-Chi. Because honestly, guys, it just feels like something is going to have to budge here. Like, at this point, Destin is supposedly still directing Shang-Chi 2, and clearly Sony and Marvel probably want him back to direct Spider-Man 5 as well. But if he's only directing a Naruto movie, which is probably going to come out in 2028, which means his next film probably doesn't come out till 2030, which means his next film probably doesn't come out till 2032, that means we are going to have to wait till 2032 for either Spider-Man 5 or Shang-Chi 2, depending on which one he decides to make first. And honestly, with Destin being so busy, I think something's gonna give here. Like, I don't think Marvel Studios has the time to wait around, and I do think what will end up happening is Destin will give up either directing the next Spider-Man or directing the next Shang-Chi. Now, as for which one I do think he'll end up letting go, I do think he's going to want to stick around and do Spider-Man 5. Just given the massive success of 4 and how much people loved it, I feel like the situation is going to be he directs Spider-Man 5 and he hands over the director's chair to somebody else to do Shang-Chi 2. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think he could still end up directing Spider-Man 5 and Shang-Chi 2? Personally, I don't see it. But whatever you guys think, let me know in the comments. And the last thing we got to talk about today, given the insane box office that is happening this year, is how many billion-dollar films will we end up having in 2026? So currently, we got 5. We've got the Michael Jackson movie, Mario, Toy Story, Spider-Man, and now the Odyssey. Now we are 100,000% getting to at least 6 because Avengers Doomsday is an absolute lock for $1 billion. The real question is, can we get to 7? Now, there's a couple films that I think have outside chances, such as Jumanji coming out at the end of this year, where that is a franchise that in the past has put up numbers in the 800s and the 900s, so it's definitely possible. But the box office from the first of those rebooted Jumanji films in 2017 to the second film in 2019 actually went downwards, and given the long gap that it's been since the second film, as well as just the overall lack of interest that I'm feeling online from people towards this film, I think that we're going to end up seeing that trend continue, and it's probably going to drop down even further. So, I don't think Jumanji will be our number 7, but it's not impossible. Then, of course, there's also the chance for, like, a surprise movie. Like, Tom Cruise's Digger could come out and surprise us all. Maybe Clayface will be another horror movie that just takes the world by storm. After all, we have seen this year that movies you think are only going to make, like, $20 million, through word of mouth can go on to make a whole lot more than that with something like Obsession. But the most likely candidate to be our number 7 is, of course, Dune Part 3. Now, Dune Part 3, I said at the beginning of this year, I don't think will end up making $1 billion, and I still feel like it's probably going to fall short. However, with this year's box office continuing to surpass all expectations, I mean, it's the first year since 2019 where the worldwide box office is going to pass $10 billion in total. A part of me feels like I just gotta stop underestimating the movies this year, and if Dune Part 3 comes out, and it's great, and it's received on the level of Dune Part 2, especially with it coming around Christmas time when there's so much box office money to go around, I do think it's very possible that it does squeak over the line and get to $1 billion. So, will we get $7 billion films by the end of this year? You know what? I'm gonna say yes, okay? I'm feeling optimistic. And maybe this is just what the audience wants, okay? They want to see Timothée Chalamet go crazy and kill a bunch of people. But alright guys, that pretty much covers everything we needed to talk about in this episode of We Need to Talk. Anything I left out, let me know down in the comments. As always, click somewhere on the screen to watch another video, and hopefully, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.